Hey there, Braves fans. Welcome to another edition of State of the Braves. I'm your host, George McNair, and a lot of positive things are happening really early on this season for the Braves. Braves just wrapped up a series sweep against the St. Louis Cardinals. They are now standing at 5-1 on the season, so a great way to start the year. Let's be honest, the last two seasons, as good as 2021 went and finished up, with a World Series championship, 2022, you won 101 games, but neither of those seasons started with the Braves firing on all cylinders, starting quick. And so far, I know it's early, but so far so good for the Braves, starting 5-1 against the Nationals, and then against what you would imagine a better team, the Cardinals, sweeping the Cardinals in 3 games. And the Cardinals were not really in any of these games. The Braves just jump on top of them early in all 3 games. You felt a little nervous coming into this game because you knew you had Dylan Dodd going in game 2, rookie first start of his career, and then Bryce Elder going in game 3, and they both pitched very well. So before we get into the series with the Cardinals, I want to give you guys a little bit of Braves news. A few things are hitting the wire in these last couple days since I was with you. So the first is Max Fried. Max Fried has officially gone to the 15-day injured list, of course, with that hamstring pull that he had in the very first game of the season. Now, this is retroactive to April 1st. So you do the math, April 16th. Hopefully, if all goes well, he will be coming off the IL. Of course, you never know with a hamstring how long that can last. And, everybody's different in terms of recovery time. So we will see. But that was made official today. Actually, it might have been yesterday, but nonetheless, it is official. Jared Schuster was sent back down. We'll see what happens with him. It's kind of surprising that he was sent down so quickly after just one start. So we'll see what happens if he maybe comes back. If they need one other start, that might happen. But usually when you get sent down, you have to be down for a little while. Jordan Luplow, outfielder Jordan Luplow, the Braves signed him to basically a $1.5 million contract over the offseason. He had some injuries during spring training. He does not start on the Braves opening day roster. The Braves tried to pass him through waivers, and he was claimed by Toronto today. So Luplow is gone from the Braves. The good news with that is, somewhat surprisingly, the Braves have had several outfielders just play really well. Eli White is crushing the ball down in AAA, and so he probably serves as the next guy up if Kevin Pillar or Hilliard were to go down, or any outfielder were to go down. I think you would see Eli White come up. And then there's a couple other guys on the Gwinnett roster who are playing really well. Wall is one of those guys. So Luplow is gone and on to Toronto. Wish him well, but we never actually saw him with the Braves other than spring training. Kyle Wright is set to make a start at Gwinnett on, I believe, Wednesday. And that might be in just a day or two, not Wednesday. So anyways, he's gonna make a start relatively soon, and he could rejoin the Braves sometime on this upcoming homestand. So this is really good news for the Braves, getting Kyle Wright back. We'll see how that affects things. I would kind of assume that Bryce Elder would be the one to go down when Kyle Wright comes up, but obviously we don't know that yet. Also in Gwinnett, Michael Soroka made his first start of the season. Of course, he is ramping back up. It's going to be a little bit of a slower process for Soroka, but he went 3 2/3 innings, allowed 1 run on 4 hits and 3 strikeouts, no walks. Reports are that he wasn't super sharp, but those numbers are pretty good. And again, you don't really expect him to be sharp yet. It's more about getting those innings, and hopefully he will, with each start, get a little better. And of course, a healthy Michael Soroka in the Braves rotation, it would be tremendous at any point during this season. And then finally, Vaughn Grissom, he and Braden Shoemake, of course, went down to AAA. That was big news. And Vaughn Grissom particularly has been playing well, especially offensively. Now, this is not a shock to anybody. We know the guy can hit, but he's 8 for 16 right now in his first few games. 2 doubles, 1 home run, so hitting with some more power. We didn't see that much in spring training, so just very good stuff from him. Now, he has made a couple errors, unfortunately, at shortstop, so this is kind of highlighting probably what the Braves are thinking. We know this guy can hit. He needs time to develop defensively, and again, it might take a little while for that to happen, but Vaughn Grissom is definitely hitting the ball, and it's just generally good to see him go down and not put his head down, play pretty well, and hopefully he can get that glove going and he can be back in the majors soon. All right, well, let's break down this series that the Braves just completed against the Cardinals in St. Louis. Most teams go into St. Louis, and this is a tough place to play. St. Louis fans are some of the best in baseball, really into it, and yet the Braves just took the fans out of each and every game of this series, jumping on the Cardinals early. In the first inning of every game, they scored at least 1 run. In Game 1, the Braves hit 3 home runs. Austin Riley hit an absolute bomb. It's the furthest I've seen any Brave hit a home run in a really long time. They measured it at 473 feet. I don't know. It might have been longer than that. It looked like it cleared every bit of the left field bleachers and onto the concourse. When Riley really gets into one, it is impressive to see. The dude is a strong man. Then Albies came up soon after that. It was a totally opposite home run. It was a moonshot that barely cleared the fence, but nonetheless, it got out. This is a left, Ozzie Albies from the left side, which is always encouraging to see. And I told you guys, he's swinging the bat better from the left side, and this is just another sign of that. He had a pretty good series, I would say, in this one as well. And then Ronald Acuna comes up and hits a 3-run bomb to right center off of an off-speed pitch. This is one of those swings I love to see, right? It's not him just like last year where he was kind of spinning on that back leg and pulling the ball and occasionally hitting a home run to left. This is him dropping that back knee, clearing those hips, and driving the ball to center the opposite way. It was a very pretty home run. So great stuff from him. And Acuna had a terrific series generally, guys. And I'm going to mention him in each of these games, but this was just the start of what was a very good series for Ronald Acuna. Charlie Morton pitched in Game 1. What I would say is I wasn't totally loving what I'm seeing from Charlie. It looked pretty similar to what we saw last year. Now, I'm not worried. I'm not ringing any alarm bells yet. We know this is early, and he could round into form. Remember 2021, which was a great season for Morton. His first month was not great. So the fact that he is not super sharp yet, I'm not worried about it, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Basically, what I'm seeing is he's not getting a lot of swing and miss. And guys who are putting pretty good swings, especially on his fastball. And that's what I noticed last year, too. He has a harder time right now. He's not consistent with really dotting his curveball, which is his best pitch, but then also the fastball is just maybe a tick down. And I don't even know that it's necessarily a problem with velocity because he's still getting it up to 96. But maybe there's a little bit of movement that he's lacking, or maybe he's just not spotting it well enough. But guys are getting pretty good swings on it. So nonetheless, I mean, he pitched well enough to get the win. He got out a couple jams, and it's like I said, Morton. If all goes well this year, and Morton is your 4th or 5th starter, and he has a 4 ERA, but he can eat innings and he can strike some dudes out, and okay, we can be happy with that, especially with what this offense is showing. All right, in Game 2 against the Cardinals, you had 2 more home runs hit by the Braves, and you had Ronald Acuna showing off his arm in the outfield on 2 different occasions. So Austin Riley hits another home run in the first inning of Game 2. This was a 2-run shot. And, he was really quiet in the National Series. So seeing Riley really have a great series in St. Louis, very good stuff. And then the second home run was Orlando Arcia. He got into the action. It wasn't a very long home run, but again, it doesn't have to be. It went over the fence. And any kind of offense you're getting from Arcia, you feel good about it. And I got to give him credit. I have questioned this move to play Arcia, to go with him. I'm sure a lot of you felt the same way, but he has been good so far. And, we're only 6 games into the season. He picked up quite a few hits in the National Series. Not quite as many in this series, but he did have that home run. He had another hit in today's game, and he's played honestly quite good defense. He's made some really good plays. So it's encouraging. Maybe this is what the Braves were seeing that we didn't see as much of it, and he's showing it. So look, as long as he can play at this level, we got to be happy with that. Do I have my doubts he'll continue it? Yeah. But look, he can prove me wrong and go out and again, I got to give him credit for coming out and starting really well with 2 great series to begin the year. Rosario also came into the game late. Kevin Pillar kind of interestingly started instead of Ozuna and left in this game. I noted that Ozuna played today in game 3, but he's only, I think, about 1 for 17 to start the season. That one was a home run, but offensively, this is not the best start for Ozuna. So Pillar started in game 2 against a lefty, and then a righty came in, and Rosario came in the 5th or 6th inning. He gets 2 at bats, and good for him. He comes in and gets 2 hits. He didn't get any hits in today's game, so I'm still waiting for Rosario to really get going. But I just thought generally that was something to note, and a positive for Rosario, and then interesting on the start of Pillar. Obviously, we'll continue to see how this goes. Ozuna DH'd in today's game, so he hasn't been seen in left for at least a couple games. Maybe the biggest news of this game, of game 2, was Dylan Dodd, right? It was his MLB debut, and he largely impressed in this game. 5 innings pitched. I thought he was going to get through 6, but that 5th inning, he labored a little bit more. Pitch count went up, but he got through it. And 5 innings pitched, only allowed 1 earned run on 6 hits, 3 strikeouts, and no walks, which the Braves are loving that. So I think everything about this start is encouraging the Braves going forward about Dylan Dodd. Too bad that Schuster couldn't have done the same thing, but Dodd at least impresses. And on top of that, I don't know if you got to see the game, but Dylan Dodd is a great story. He's from this tiny town of about 600 people in the middle of nowhere in Illinois. He was only throwing about 85 miles an hour out of high school, went to a junior college, finally got to a Division I school, small Division I school, gets stronger, works on it. His velocity ticks up a little bit, and then gets drafted by the Braves, and his velocity's gone up even a little bit more. And he zoomed through. When he was drafted, he was an older player on top of that, right? But he zoomed through the minors for the Braves, and here he is. So a guy that, if you asked, 2 or 3, 4 years ago, who's Dylan Dodd, most people in baseball would have had no idea. And here he is starting for the Braves. So just a great story, and I hope he continues to have a lot of success. The other thing that happened in this game, Travis d'Arnaud continues to hit. He got 3 more hits. Coming into today's game, he was 10 for 22 for the season. Now, I'm not sure he had a hit today, but, good grief. What a great start for d'Arnaud. If he continues to hit this way, you can do the math, right? He's going to get more DH spots, and Ozuna 1 for 17 is not going to happen. So I'm sure that for now, Ozuna is going to continue to get some opportunities, but there will come a time, right, when you start making the call for d'Arnaud or somebody else. The other really cool thing about this game was Ronald Acuna's defense. He had 2 throws from the outfield. He gunned out a guy at second base to end an inning, and then later on he gunned down O'Neill at home to end another inning. So obviously preventing a run, ending an inning, that's a great way to do it. A lot of news was made on the Cardinals side of things that O'Neill didn't hustle that much or whatever, but whatever happened, he got caught by Acuna with just an absolute missile home. And so two outfield assists in one game doesn't happen very often. It's pretty cool to see it from Acuna, who also had 2 more hits and is hitting about 360 right now, 370 to start the season. 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases. Ronald Acuna is doing his thing right now. All right, in game 3 of this series, Matt Olson came back to life. He had he had a great series against the Nationals, and then first 2 games of this series, he was very quiet. In fact, he had a really bad game in game 2, 4 strikeouts, went 0 for 5. And yet in game 3, he comes back to life. He has a home run. He has 2 RBI doubles. And man, when Olson is locked in and just puts the bat on the ball, good things happen. I mean, he has tremendous power. The home run today, it was just such an easy swing. I didn't think he got it, but it was just such an easy swing. Went out to straightaway center field, and man, it was pretty. Acuna, the main thing he did today, it's like every game in this series, it's something different you see from Acuna, right? Game 1, it's his power. Game 2, it's his arm. And game 3, it's his speed. And he showed it in the very first at bat of the game. He hits what looks like a very routine ball to the shortstop, and he beat it out somehow for an infield single. Incredibly impressive speed that he's putting. It's almost like we forget, we saw him last year, and he looks pretty speedy last year, even with the knee injury. And it's like, oh, wait, no. For Ronald Acuna, that's not fast. You watch him now you see Ronald Acuna level speed. And so he beats out that infield single, and then Olson comes up and hits a double in the gap, but this one of those doubles, it's kind of a short double. It doesn't split the outfielders. They were just, was just found a hole, basically. And Acuna somewhat easily scores from first base. I mean, he just went immediately. And so to see that infield single backed up by that kind of speed to get home to start the game, in the first 2 batters of the game, it was just very fun to watch. All right, Bryce Elder also, remember, he pitched in this game, and in some ways this is a spot start. He had been sent down to AAA, so it's kind of difficult to do that and then ask this of a guy just a week or 2 later, and yet he gave a very strong performance. You got to give Elder a lot of credit, and I think this is kind of what you can expect from Elder, that throughout the season, he's probably going to get quite a few spot starts. If there's a longer-term injury, he's going to be probably the first guy you call on unless Soroka starts to, get a little better and get ready. And this performance is exactly what you want. 6 innings pitched, only gave up 2 hits. He did allow 3 walks, but he was around the plate for the most part, and 6 strikeouts. And, this is against a Cardinals team that is thought to be a pretty darn good offense. So giving 6 innings and on top of what the Braves offense is doing right now, you're going to win most of those games. There wasn't a ton of action late in the game, but there was one particularly great moment. Michael Harris made a great catch at the wall. I'm not exactly sure if it saved a home run, but it was one of those that was right on the edge, and it was full speed, crashing into the wall. He was totally pumped about it. And, I would say that this has been a little bit of a slow offensive start for Harris. So it's great to see him have a nice moment, and hopefully he's feeling good about it, and that will turn around into some pretty cool offense as the Braves return home to Atlanta. All right, so my overall takeaways after this series with the Cardinals, the team is playing with a lot of intentionality, and what I mean by that is, a combination of hustle, emotion, defense, and a lot of confidence. All these things are coming together for what is a very difficult team. And we've said this from the beginning. This team on paper looks really, really good. And if you put some intangibles behind the talent they have on paper, it's going to be hard to beat this team. And the sky is the limit. We could see them win a ton of games this season. So obviously some struggles can come, some injuries can come. I mean, all sorts of things can happen in a long season. And yeah, it's great to start well in those first 6 games, and we know that it doesn't mean that everything's going to just, the Red Sea's not necessarily going to part for you and have a just season with no ups and downs, but it's a great encouragement to start this way. The power, guys, the power of this team is legit, and we didn't see a ton of that outside of Matt Olson against the Nationals, but we sure saw it really team-wide against the Cardinals. I think 5 different Braves hit home runs in this series, and man, it just makes you excited to watch every game. The team defense, I already mentioned the defense, but particularly the outfield with Acuna and Harris, they are really, really fun to watch. A lot of speed, a lot of ability. And, I mean, it is nice that Arcia is playing good defense right now at shortstop. Ozzy's had a couple nice plays. Olson's had a couple nice plays. And, I didn't mention it in the National Series. By the way, guys, I don't know if you saw it. Sean Murphy threw out a guy at second on a stolen base attempt that was awesome. I mean, we've heard some things about his arm. They say his pop time is just next level, and his arm is really next level. And he threw out a guy who had a tremendous jump, and yet he just threw a laser beam to second base. It's one of those where you're watching it and your eyebrows come up because you're like, "Ooh, that was different." And so he hasn't gotten as much play, and I think one reason, we'll see this play out as the season goes. Snicker has said he's going to go with the hot hand at catcher, and with what d'Arnaud's doing offensively right now, that makes sense. Murphy has had kind of a slow start offensively, but you can see already some things he's doing defensively that are super impressive. He is a solid offensive player. He just hadn't gotten going yet. So d'Arnaud's getting a little more playing time. But as we go through the season, we're going to see more and more of Murphy. And I'm excited to see, once his offense goes, I'm really excited to see him play a little bit more. One of my other takeaways, Ronald Acuna, guys, he is back. And he is a man on a mission. And we might see the best version of Ronald Acuna we've ever seen. I mean, when you put motivation behind that kind of talent, it's going to be scary. And from what we've already seen, he's hitting the ball. He's got a high average. He's getting on base. He's wreaking havoc on the base paths. He's playing the best defense I've seen in a while from him. So, I mean, this is the best thing you could have hoped for as a Braves fan. And then the last thing, I've already mentioned it, but I got to give him props because I was hard on the decision. But Orlando Arcia has had a nice start to the season, and we can only hope that this will be a career year for him. I mean, if he is able to do what he's shown in the first 6 games, play really solid defense, get a few hits, hit for a little more power, then, the Braves with him at the 9 hole, they don't need him to be a superstar. And I think that was the thinking when they made the decision. But he can make them look really smart if he has a career year. So we'll hope for that. And, we can hope for that and hope that Vaughn Grissom can be ready to go at some point defensively because we know that he has the potential to be a great player. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for this edition of State of the Braves. I'm really glad I was able to come on here and talk about some really encouraging things. I am looking forward to the Braves going back home. And, guys, they are going to be clashing with the San Diego Padres. What a great early season showdown. It's going to be one of those yardstick things, right? Measure how good you are. And I'm sure Atlanta fans are going to be lit for this series. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of State of the Braves, and I'll talk to you later.